In the next minutes, I'll show you why game developers succeed or why they don't using the scientific method. What if I told you that most people who wanted to work in games are following a path that almost guarantees frustration? They study for months, sometimes years. They collect certificates, they send hundreds of applications, and in the end, they get maybe one interview, maybe none. Meanwhile, in the exact same industry, other people with no fancy titles and not even perfect games are building communities, stable income, and sometimes whole business around their projects. Same industry, same tools, same engines, but totally different results. Today, I want to do something a little unusual. I want to treat this like a scientific experiment. I'm going to apply the scientific method to the Game Creator Accelerator and show you why our two pillars, create and share, are not just motivational slogans. They are the pattern that I keep seeing over and over again in the people who actually make it in this industry. So let us go step by step. This is the Game Creator Accelerator channel and I am Tony Munoz. To support this channel and its content, like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell so you don't miss future inspiring and strategic videos to build your path in the gaming industry, but also technical tutorials to help you create your next experience for your audience. Now let's start. Step 1. Observation. Here's what I kept seeing again and again. People sign up for courses, online programs, bootcamps, even full diplomas. Some of them study for months, some for years. They invest money, time, and energy into learning engines like Unreal, Unity, programming, learning game design. They finish, they get their certificates, and then they believe what most of us were told. Now that you have this piece of paper, you can get a job. So they start applying. Some of the people I talk to have applied between 100 to 500 times. I am not exaggerating. Hundreds of applications for one interview. Sometimes not even that. And when they finally get an interview, they are not selected. Maybe they get 3, 5, 10 interviews before someone finally gives them a chance, if at all. After a while, the story becomes very familiar. There are no opportunities in the gaming industry. Studios are impossible to get into. The market is saturated. I don't have enough experience. And here's the strange part. At the very same time, we see independent developers building games and turning them into a real business. Small studios making a living from their projects, and an industry that keeps growing in consumption and revenue by billions of dollars and is expected to keep growing in the next decade. So on one side, we have people saying there is no space. On the other side, we have real data and real people proving that there is. That tension, that contradiction is our observation. Step 2. The question. From that observation, the question becomes clear. If so many people have certificates, if they are learning the engines, if they are submitting hundreds of applications, what are the successful people doing differently? Why are some independent developers able to build an audience, create a business model, sustain their income over time, and even more, grow that income month after month, while others with very good technical skills and grades cannot even get a first interview? Why does one person's path lead to burn and resentment, and another person with similar technical abilities ends up with a real career, real income, and a creative freedom? This is the question that pushed me to treat this like a serious experiment. Step 3. The hypothesis. To answer that, I did what scientists usually do. I started with an early version of the hypothesis based on something I knew very well, my own experience. The first 3 years of my career in games were extremely hard. I was creating mobile games. The reviews were often positive. People who played them liked them. But financially, it was nowhere near what I was hoping for. No real traction, no business, no stability, and no job opportunities. I was creating, but it felt like I was creating inside a cave. Then something changed. I did not suddenly become a genius developer. I did not win the perfect idea lottery. I did not magically discover a secret engine feature. What changed was my behavior. I started to share what I was doing. Not just the final product, not just here is my finished game, please download it. I began sharing the progress. Small steps, behind the scenes, things that were not yet perfect. Systems still in development, experiments that might fail. I use social media to put my process in public, long before the game became portfolio ready. That is when I started to see results, so my hypothesis started to become something like this. Success in the gaming industry, especially for independent creators and people starting from zero, does not come from certificates alone. It comes from a combination of consistent creation, learning in the process, and sharing your journey publicly in a way that builds connections, feedback, loops, and social proof. In other words, if you create and share, you unlock opportunities that are completely invisible to people who only create in silence. That became the seed of the Game Creator Accelerator and its two pillars. But a hypothesis based on my story alone is not enough. We need more data. Step 4. The experiment. So I designed an experiment. When I created the Game Creator Accelerator Lifetime Mentorship, my first goal was not just to teach Unreal or help people build a prototype. My first goal was, let me deeply understand what people are struggling with, and let me see if this create and share framework can actually solve those problems in a reproducible way. This experiment has two parts. Part A, the interviews. For more than a year, I have been doing one-on-one interviews. At this point, it is around 200 conversations with people who want to get into the gaming industry. In those interviews, I always explore, what have you tried so far? What courses or programs have you done? How many jobs have you applied to? How many interviews have you had? What do you think your main problem is? What are you working on right now? Then, after the call, I often do something that many mentors do not do. I go and look their online presence, especially LinkedIn, and here is what I found again and again. They complain that there are no jobs opportunities or they cannot even get interviews. They tell me they have applied between 100 to 500 times. They say they get the same automated email, something like, thank you for applying, but not this time. Please apply again in the future. And then I look at their LinkedIn or their public profiles and I see an empty feed, no posts about what they are working on, no devlogs, no small videos, no prototypes. Sometimes not even a link to a portfolio. In the best cases, I see a certificate, Unreal Engine course completed, Game Dev diploma completed, but there is no visible trail of progress, no story, no timeline, no way for a recruiter or another developer to understand what they have been doing in the last weeks, months, or years. From the outside, they look invisible, even if inside they are working very hard, and that is the first part of the experiment. Real people, real frustration, almost no sharing. Part B, researching successful developers. The second part of the experiment was research. I used tools like ChatGPT, YouTube, and simple observation to study what successful indie developers and game entrepreneurs are doing. I wanted to know, how are they building careers that generate consistent income over time? How do they avoid the one hit then disappear pattern? What do they do differently day after day? Very quickly, I started to see the same pattern that I had tested on myself. They were not just building games, they were building audiences. They were not waiting until something was perfect to talk about it. They were sharing their process while they were still learning and building. They were making themselves visible long before they deserved it in the traditional sense. Step 5. Analysis. Let us analyze two concrete examples that many of you probably know. Example 1. Thomas Brush. Thomas Brush is a game developer I deeply admire. He started by creating 2D platformers and using Kickstarter to fund his first projects. That first big Kickstarter was a breakthrough, but if you listen to him, he will tell you that the real key was not just the campaign itself. The real key was the community of fans he built around his work. He built a brand around himself. People know his face, his voice, his style. He did not just launch a game and disappear. He kept talking to his audience, showing progress, asking for feedback, and more. That community allowed him to fund new games, experiment with projects, launch courses that now generate consistent income for him, and keep creating games because he loves it, without being entirely dependent on one title. He also interviews other developers, researches what works, confronts different approaches, and keeps growing publicly. Look at what he did and you will see create and share everywhere. Example number 2, Gavin Eisenbeis, the creator of Chucho Charles. Another great example is Gavin. He built a huge following by posting devlogs on YouTube, being himself and sharing his process. He showed early prototypes, experiments, problems, and solutions. His game Chucho Charles is a big success and he was creating in Unreal using blueprints only, no custom C++ code. What is very interesting about both Thomas and Gavin is this: neither of them presents themselves as a perfect genius developer. Their game, especially the first ones, are not AAA quality with a 1,000-person team. But they understand how to hack the system. They create consistently, they share openly, they listen to feedback, they build trust with an audience. And then, when they release something, people are ready and excited to support it. That is the pattern. Now let us compare these with many of people I talk in my interviews. A few of them have good technical knowledge. They know the engine, they understand programming, they can talk about design patterns. But they lack one thing: they do not share. They are afraid of posting their work. They do not know what to say. They wait until things are perfect before showing anything. They do not want to embarrass themselves. So from the outside, it looks like they do not exist. Imagine you're a recruiter or a studio owner and you hear the same sentence from many candidates. I am passionate about developing video games. Then you search their name on LinkedIn and there's nothing that shows that passion in action. No videos of what they are building, no posts explaining how they solved a problem, no screenshots of progress over the last 6 months. You simply move on. That is where the frustration comes from. It is not that they are lazy, it is not that they are stupid, it is that they are invisible. So, our analysis support the hypothesis. The frustrated group mainly creates in private, almost never share. Of course, I am assuming they are creating without proof, but only their word. The successful group create and share as a habit, long before things are perfect. Step 6. Conclusion. If we treat this like a scientific experiment, the conclusion looks something like this. The traditional path of take courses, collect certificates, send hundreds of applications, wait to be chosen is not enough for most people in the modern gaming industry. You can have a certificate and still be invisible. On the other hand, people who build successful, sustainable careers tend to follow a repeatable pattern based on 2 pillars. Create consistently and intentionally and share that progress publicly to build visibility, feedback, and trust. These 2 pillars are the foundation of the Game Creator Accelerator lifetime mentorship. Create means you are always building something concrete: prototypes, mechanics, systems, demos. You are not stuck in a tutorial land, you are shipping small steps. Share means you are turning your progress into visible proof: LinkedIn posts, devlogs, shorts, tweets, Discord updates, anything that leaves a public trail of your growth. Don't get me wrong, certificates are not useless. They are the foundation of your technical skills that you will grow in time. But they are only a small part of the picture. They are like reading theory in science. They help, but the experiment is what actually moves the field forward. In the same way, your real experiment is to build and share so that the industry can see who you are becoming. Step 7. Reproducibility. In science, a result is not truly solid until it can be reproduced. So I ask myself the hard question: is this just a nice story, or can this actually be reproduced? The first person I tested it on was myself again, but in a more structured way. At the end of 2024, I decided to relaunch this YouTube channel with the create and share principles fully in place. I did not wait for the perfect videos. I did not wait for the ultimate game. I started a project named Mad Gameverse, a third-person shooter in Unreal, and turned the entire process into a devlog and tutorials. I began to show how I build systems in Unreal Engine 5.6 and 5.7, share my mistakes and how I fix them, post consistently even when viewers were small, and combine teaching Unreal with sharing strategies for career building. On top of that, I revived my C++ for Beginners series, not just as here is some syntax, but as a way to help people who want to use C++ for real game development. What happened? The channel started to grow. some videos started to get traction far beyond my usual audience. And more people began to contact me directly because I used my YouTube channel as a funnel to the Game Creator Accelerator mentorship program. The experiment was working on me as well. At the same time, I saw how these ideas were working inside the GCA with my mentees. Students who committed to create and share, even at a small scale, started to gain confidence. They stopped being just another resume and became real people with visible projects. And those who are consistent began to attract collaborators, job interviews, and opportunities simply because they now had proof of consistent action. The most important part for me is this: I am not just selling a course and then disappearing. If you join the Game Creator Accelerator mentorship and we decided it is a good fit, I am with you for the long term. Your success is directly tied to mine. That is why I keep doing the interviews. Each interview is a data point in this ongoing experiment. It helps me refine the method, improve the mentorship, and understand the real obstacles people face. Now it's your turn. Run the experiment on yourself. So now, if you are watching this and wondering, what do I do with all this? Here is your invitation. Do not just believe me. Do not just believe Thomas or Gavin or any other creator you follow. Run the experiment yourself. For the next few months, try this. Create a small focused project or feature. It does not have to be a full game. It can be a movement system, a combat prototype, a UI for inventory, a simple level that looks and feels good. Share your progress weekly or bi-weekly. A short LinkedIn post with a GIF or your mechanic, a 30-second YouTube short, a devlog talking honestly about what you learned, and then track what happens. Do people start commenting? Do your posts get slowly more views? Do conversations appear that did not exist before? Does your confidence grow as you see your own trail of progress? This is your personal lab. If after months of creating and sharing nothing changes at all, then the hypothesis is wrong and we need to revise it. But what I have seen in my own life, in my students, and in the careers of successful indie developers is that things do change. Sometimes slowly at first, then faster as your body of work becomes visible. If this whole idea resonates with you, if you feel that you have been stuck in study and apply mode for too long, then the Game Creator Accelerator Lifetime Mentorship might be exactly what you need.